Hey everybody, Matt Philleo here in the studio. Today working on a painting of my two children. It's a 16 by 20 acrylic on canvas that will be a book cover for a book by Charles Spurgeon. This is a compilation here done by Anaco Press, devotionals meant for children or about children. And so I'll have a painting of my two kids walking. Let me show it to you here. All right, so here it is. This is a picture. I'll just show it to you here. You can see that. This is a picture that I took while we were hiking. This is a few years ago. They're quite a bit taller now. But this is a picture I took when we were hiking up north in Wisconsin. Copper Falls State Park. There's beautiful trails there. It was just the beginning of fall. Leaves were just starting to cover over the walkway, and I thought, wow, this is just a beautiful scene. So I snapped this picture of my son and my daughter holding hands and walking up this path. So I have the painting already started. I just blocked in some colors and got in some forms of the lighting a little bit. So what I plan to do today is just work on it and show you the glazing technique. So I have my palette here, raw umber dark, raw sienna, yellow ochre, phthalo blue, naphtha red crimson, Indian yellow, and titanium white. And so what I'll be doing is just showing you basically blocking in more color, getting more depth, more shading, more layers, and using this translucent technique where light shines through the paint layers, reflecting off the white of the canvas and back to your eye. Now I'm not going to be doing this completely with the glazing technique like I normally do, where I really use minute layers. But I'm going to do this a little more opaque, but I'll still be using a lot of the clear acrylic medium called matte medium that really thins everything out and makes it translucent. So let's get working on this. What I want to do is just establish more contrast between the figures, get the dark color here in the posts and the railing established a little more. So I'm going to take this mixture that I created. It's got some raw umber dark and titanium white and a few other colors to balance it out. And I'll just be going over the post to darken it in. Now I'm leaving this area white, you know, up here because this is where the light is hitting. I just want to get some of that, some of the shadows blocked in and suggested. I'll just leave that a little lighter on the top though. And we'll just keep working with this. Sometimes I'll sketch it in with pencil, but this is actually, you know, everything here is paint. You know, so I just use a thin brush to block in the forms of the figures. And then what I want to do is get a little of this color into the background behind the rails, because there is some patches of dirt we want to suggest in there, as well as the leaves and the grass that's growing. I think right up here there's like a little walkway. It's got some steps, so I'll start to establish that. And just get a few more shadows, get a little bit of texture here in the ground, and it's just a certain area that's a little different color, and it's got more texture on this lower left corner. I don't know if you can see that, but I want to establish that as well. And that'll kind of keep your eye right towards the middle going on this path. All right, so now I want to use a little dark color and darken in the hair. So let's take some raw umber dark. Show you what I'm doing here. Raw umber dark. I'll mix it into this glaze that I already have. And then I want to start blocking that in just within her hair, just to get some of the differences in light. And then I can also do that as well for my son's hair. Here I'm using a little bit of a different color, slightly different. And then get that little tuft in there. And this will take a few layers to really achieve the look we're going for. Meanwhile, I'm going to get some of the shadows in for my daughter's pants using this natural crimson and a little bit of raw umber dark, and then just a bit of blue to cool that down. And I'll thin it out with some of the matte medium. I'll need a smaller brush. It gives me a little more precision. Just get these shadows established right off the bat. And I'm just following what I see here on my image off of my tablet. Trying to see those little patterns. But again, you can't do it all in one layer. So you have to give yourself some patience. Cut yourself a little slack while it's in the in-between stage. Okay. Maybe just a little bit of a purplish color for her clothing. I want to keep the colors pretty cohesive here, so I limited my palette, which makes it a little more challenging, but at the same time, I think it'll give the painting more cohesion and color harmony. So I'm using a phthalo blue and a naphtha crimson, which together don't make a very, very strong purple. It's more of a mauve almost. And I'll see what I can do with it. If I have to, I'll pull out some ultramarine blue, get something that's a little stronger purple. But let's see if I can use this and create a color that would work. Doesn't have to be the exact same color as what we have in her clothing, but I want it to work though. And for the shadows, this should be fine. Basically, right now, I just want to suggest that there are some shadows. By having the stark shadow here, I can suggest that her arm is bent and that, her elbow is projecting outward and the forearm is going back away from the viewer. Okay, I'm going to do some shadows for my son's pants using phthalo blue and a little bit of naphtha crimson, and then some raw umber dark. All right, the shadows are going to be a little cooler in color. They won't be as intense of a blue. That's why I'm using some other colors to mute them down, like red and brown. Let's just use a little white so that it has enough opacity that it covers well. I like to say Rome wasn't built in a day. So in all of this, I'm just doing a few layers at a time. Just blocking in a few of those shapes. And then I can always refine it later on. The shadow in here suggests that his leg is bent a little bit. And then we'll suggest shadow under, see a shadow under her foot. And also his shoes. Just quickly block that in. And then we'll keep going, and I'm going to block in some of the coloring for the posts. They're pretty dark. So we have, I'm going to use the same color like I have for the pants, and we'll just start blocking in some of that. Keep this area highlighted above the posts that are catching the light. I wouldn't think that it would be this color, but it does have some of that blue in it. And I'll be hitting it with some other layers as well. All right. I'm going to hit the bottom of these horizontal posts. It's a little shadow color. And we'll hit these ones behind the children. Just kind of let that brush dance right off the edge. We'll fill in this post back here so it matches the one in the front. And another one in the back. Get a little shadow underneath them, just ever so faintly. Okay, now that this level is done, I'll stop this video and go into the next video to carry this further. So I hope you enjoyed this, and be blessed, and I'll see you in another video for this particular painting.